Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. We're still looking at the Set 10 revival here. As many of you, I'm not a big fan. Many of you know I'm not a big fan of Set 14. And in this game, we're going to be looking at a Superfan's Miss Fortune team composition. And in fact, this is going to end up being a bit of a preposterous ending to this game. So I'm going to call this the Jazzy Miracle game, if that makes sense. This is a game where things did not go well. But in the end, I was able to put things together and put together a very competitive team despite not necessarily getting all the RNG factors to line up in the way that I wanted. Anyway, so as I said, I have been playing this game a fair amount. I just enjoy Set 10, even though obviously I got to play it before when it was out originally. I still do enjoy getting a chance to play Set 10. And another nice thing is there are some new features. There are some augments that weren't around in the original version. I've got a chance to explore them. Obviously, there's some different encounters now. Although I do wish you still got to vote on the encounters. You don't get to vote on the encounters the way you did back when Set 10 was around. Now it's just determined and nobody gets any choice in it, which I definitely don't enjoy as much. For this particular game, the encounter is Kiana. Everybody gets 2 component anvils to start. Now that was around back when the set originally came out. And it's actually one of my favorite openers. It does favor people who have strong early game boards. Basically, you can craft perfect items. So if you have a strong early game, it rewards having a strong early game even more. And it kind of punishes having a weak early game, if that makes sense there. So at this point in time, I didn't really have anything in particular in mind to play. I was thinking that maybe this could be a disco game in part because I have this early Taric headliner that I just snapped up because I didn't have anything better to pick up here. I do have the early Bard, which can play into disco, but it can also play into jazz as well. But as of right now, I really did not have any direction. That's why I haven't pulled my component anvils. I'm also waiting to see what I might be able to get. So I'm looking right here. The high voltage is what I would pick if I wanted to go disco. You can see I ended up rejecting that. I ended up seeing this. That's Jazz, baby. Gain a Bard. Combat start, Jazz champions gain permanent stat increases based on the number of traits in play. Again, I went past that kind of quickly, but what it does is your Jazz champions permanently gain additional stats, and it's based on the number of traits in play. For every round that there are 3 traits in play, any Jazz champions on the board gain a permanent 20 max health, and then if there's more traits in play, you can get up to 5 traits. Then they gain, I believe it's attack speed. And if you have 7 traits, they gain AD and AP. Now, what I was hoping here was to get a bow, because as soon as I see this augment, I know I'm going to play into Miss Fortune. Like, I 100% know I'm going to be playing Jazz Miss Fortune, and she's going to be the main carry. So what I want to do is I want to kill this Rod on a Rage Blade. And I get very, very unlucky on the component anvils, because with 2 anvils, the odds to get one specific component you want when you have 2 anvils are 75%, because there's 8 total components in Teamfight Tactics. Ignore spatulas and frying pans. There's 8 total components if you exclude them, and you get 4 of them whenever you pull a component anvil. So basically 4 of the 8 are going to be there when you pull an anvil. So if you're looking for one thing in particular, 4 out of 8, that's 50% odds. And if you get 2 of them, you have 50% odds to get what you want on the first pull, and then another 50% odds to get what you want on the second pull. So you have 3 out of 4 odds to get what you want from one of those anvils. But anyway, I really wanted a bow because that would allow me to make Rage Blade, which is one of the absolute core items on Miss Fortune. You want Rage Blade plus Infinity Edge, and then the third item's a little bit more flexible from there. But you really want Rage Blade plus Infinity Edge. You want IE on MF so that her damage can crit. She's an auto attack based champion. You really want her to be able to get crits on her ability and also increase the odds of her critting on her normal auto attacks. And then the Rage Blade is a key because she needs additional attack speed in order to be effective. She does not have a trait like Rapid Fire that's going to give her extra attack speed, so she really needs to get it from her itemization. And the best way to do that is to give her a Rage Blade. I also have a Rod, and I really have nothing to do with rods in the team composition I'm going to be building towards, because this is going to be an auto-attacking AD-based team composition. So I need to get something useful from rods. But, and by, like I said, just by far the best thing I can do is to make a Rage Blade. Rage Blade's also a good early game item. Rage Blade's not a great late game item because in the late game, the fights tend to be like really, really fast. Like the fights are just over super quickly. But in the early game, the fights tend to be kind of slow. So the Rage Blade, which takes time to stack up, tends to be a pretty good early game item. You'll also note I went ahead and sold the Taric there. The Taric I did not feel like was really doing all that much for me. So I just went ahead and sold it, and I'm well aware that this makes my board significantly weaker. But I'm hoping that I can get a better headliner. And I also just wanted to get to 10 gold here. And selling the Taric allowed me to get to 10 gold without having to sell the Bards, which I don't want to sell because I know I'm going to be playing Bard on this team composition. But without that headliner, being down a headliner and having a board that's all 1-star units except for, I think the Lilia is 2-star. That obviously puts me in a weak position. I'm going to end up losing this round. So I definitely weakened my board there. All right, now there's a Miss Fortune on this carousel. So of course I want this Miss Fortune. I'd also like to get the bow, of course, so I can make my Rage Blade. And I'm second pick, so I have really good odds to get one of the two. Unfortunately, they both go to the other side of the carousel. And as I'm pathing over there, MF gets grabbed. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I can at least make the Rage Blade. But the MF would have been really, really, really useful to have. She would have allowed me to make Big Shot trait with the Corky. I could have then put in the Bard for Jazz trait, and I could have started stacking up my Augment. Because remember, my Augment only gives additional stats to Jazz champions if they're on the board, and if I have at least 3 traits in play. I don't have even close to 3 traits in play yet. So even though Bard is going to go on the board, Bard is not making any, like he's not getting any benefit from my Augment. I need at least 3 traits in, and I don't really see an obvious way to do that right now. Like I could play the Amumu if I wanted to. Like I can put in the Center for True Damage, and I guess I might as well do that because like the Bard's not going to get any stats for it until I can get up to 3 traits. So this is a little bit unfortunate, but it's just like one of those things. I am not really getting the units I want. And then I see this board that has a 2-star Tahm Kench, a 2-star Olaf, a 2-star Jax, and double incarnations of the Super, the Super Edge of Night. They got one for free from their Augment, and then I guess they made another one. So I was like, oh my god, this board is like insanely strong for 2-5. So I just get ripped apart there. Not that it really matters. It doesn't really matter what I have. I would have lost to that board anyway. So I guess it's better to maintain a loss streak, but this has been a rough early game to say the least. Anyway, as soon as I saw this Augment, oh, by the way, and then I get this, I get a Twisted Fate just randomly in my shop at 2% odds. I was like, all right, well, I'll play the TF, I guess. It at least will give me some damage on this board. And then I'd love to get up to 20 gold, but I don't know if I can do that. If I can win this round, I could like sell the Cassante to get to 20 gold. But yeah, we'll just play the TF for right now. Still, this is not the board that I want to be playing. As soon as I saw that I had this Jazz Augment, I immediately knew what I needed to play, and that was Superfan Miss Fortune. Or at least that's the name for the team composition that I thought of it. This was around in the original set 10, but it seems like it's a little bit stronger here in the set revival. I think it's a little bit stronger because it's easier to hit 3-star 3 costs here in the set revival. That being that there's just more copies of them in the pool. In the default version of Teamfight Tactics, and by the way, I guess TF couldn't quite clutch this one out, so we still lose this round anyway, even with the TF. But in the default version of Teamfight Tactics, there's only 18 copies of the 3 costs. So like it's hard, if there's like 2 people playing these, the 3 costs, then you can't really 3-star them because 2 people competing and both trying to get 3-star 3 costs like means that you're not really going to hit them. But in the set revival, there are 30 copies of the 3 costs. So it's much easier to 3-star the 3 costs than it is in the original version. And the Superfans MF board basically wants to 3-star a bunch of 3 costs. You're basically playing the KDA Superfans board. So you're playing Lilia plus Kennen, and then they pair together with Nico and Echo, and then that's your front line. It gets you Superfan trait. It gets you 2 Sentinel. It gets you 2 Guardian, and then you play Kaisa with Miss Fortune because that unlocks KDA traits. By pairing them that unlocks KDA trait with the Lilia and the Nico, and then it also unlocks Big Shot trait with Miss Fortune, and then you put in the Bard for Jazz, and you end up with this board that with 7 units on it has exactly 7 traits unlocked. So you have 7 traits with 7 units, you roll on level 7, and you try to 3-star Miss Fortune, Echo, and the Nico. And if you can hit 3 stars on all of them, the board's pretty strong. Yeah, I guess you could call it the 777 board as well, because you have 7 traits in, you roll on level 7, and you're playing through all these 3-cost units. But I think of it as Superfan's Miss Fortune. I think I had a game back in the, I think I had a double up game where I did a video of Superfan's MF. And anyway, it seems to be pretty strong in terms of the stat data on like tactics.tools and meta TFT. It's actually grading out as the top team composition in this version of the set 10 revival. So I have a great spot for it, but I just can't find the champs. Like, I have a great augment. The one that the augment I picked is like the perfect one to take for this, but I've gotten literally 0 value from that so far. I've not had even 1 round with Bard on the board and 3 traits in. So literally my initial gold augment has been completely useless thus far. I'm going to take bulky buddies here, the units that stand next to at least one other unit that are going to get some additional health. So anyway, I'm going to look, I believe I go ahead and level here, and I see that there's this Superfan's Gnar, so I was like, oh, Superfan's Gnar headliner? Okay, I'll play 4 Superfans for the moment. My board is really weak. I'll just move all of my tank items over to the Gnar. He's not going to stay on this board long term, but like, okay, sure, why not? So we'll go ahead and try to position next to one other unit so we get the bulky buddies benefit. There we go. And now I have this very weird board. But like, think in terms of what I do not have on my board thus far. I have not found a Miss Fortune yet, which is not good. I need to find an MF to make this board work. I have not found any of them yet. I have not found a Kaisa yet. I'm holding the Corkies because if I do get an MF, I can play Corky plus Miss Fortune for big shot trait, but I really want to find Kaisa. I have a random TF, but that's, I mean, like, that stabilizes me temporarily, but it's still not what I'm looking for. So I don't have a Miss Fortune, I don't have a Kaisa, I don't have a Nico, and I don't have an Echo. And I'm like supposed to 3-star all of these units, except for I don't really care about the Kaisa, but like, I'm missing enormous numbers of these units. I guess I do have 2-star Kennen, and I do have 2-star Lilia. So that's, you know, that's something all right, but I mean, like, neither of these units is going to be very good in the late game. I really need Nico and Echo, and ideally I really need Nico and Echo to be 3-starred, not just 2-starred, but like to be this deep into the game with no Echoes, no Nikos, no Miss Fortunes, and no Kaisas, who are all core building blocks of this team composition. That is not a good sign. I have scouted the lobby. I am uncontested on this build. It's reasonably popular, but not super popular. And again, there's lots of copies of these in the pool, so like I should be able to find these units. And by the way, the random TF plus the Gnar headliner do seem to have stabilized me, which is good because I was losing a lot of health there. It's one thing if I have like 75 to 80 health as I'm putting my board together. I don't want to be down on like 35, 40, 45 health when I'm putting my board together, because that just leaves me with no margin for error. All right, so I already kind of have MF's core items put together here. I don't really need carry items that badly, because MF is, if I can find a Miss Fortune headliner, she actually gets a Superfan item as well. So I could kind of look to get more frontline here. But I'm third pick on this carousel. I mean, I need to take the Miss Fortune. I desperately need Miss Fortune. I need 9 of them, and even if I get 3 from the headliner, I'm going to need to get 9 of going to still need to get 6 more of them in order to make my board work. Plus, I can just finally actually start stacking up my initial gold augment. So we're definitely going to take this, and then that means the TF comes off the board. And by the way, does this make my board weaker? Yes, it definitely does, but it just kind of is what it is. At least I still have 3 traits in, so I am getting the initial benefit. Both Miss Fortune and Bard are going to get 20 HP per round, as long as I have 3 traits in. There it is. Combat start, Jazz champions gain permanent stats based on the number of traits. I guess that went by kind of fast, but they're both going to get 20 health every single round for the rest of the game, as long as I have this in. So, I mean, it's a bit of a shame that I missed out on, what are we on? If I had gotten this in on like 2-1 or 2-2, I could have had it in place for like, I think like 7 or like about 7 or 8 additional rounds. That would be another 100-ish, 120 health on both of them. So that would have been a pretty big deal to have that, but nope, no such luck, unfortunately. The max HP is a little bit less useful on these units because they're backliners. They're not like frontline tanks. So it's not quite as important for them to have tons of health. But, you know, it's never bad to have more health on your units. It is nice to have that. I'll also mention that when Set 10 initially came out, as you see the Akali randomly switch from KDA over to true damage. I guess the game realized I had Kennen on my board for true damage trait. But when the game first came out, this augment was like the most overpowered augment when set 10 initially released. I believe it initially gave a Bard and a Miss Fortune, and the stats it gave were like significantly higher. So you were guaranteed to have Jazz trade in from the start of the game when this initially came out. But now it only gives you a Bard. It does not give you a Miss Fortune as well. And we don't have augment stats, so it's impossible to know how strong this is. But I would suspect it's just like kind of an average result in terms of how the augments stack up. You need to have a good place to play it. I thought I had a good place to play this from because I had I had 2 bards at the start of the game. I had like 2 bards on 2-1, which would seem to be a good place to play this from. But then I just did not hit any of the units. I still don't have a Kaisa or an Echo or a Nico. And I have 1 MF that I took off a carousel. So I went all of stage 2 and all of stage 3 without seeing any of those units. Okay, so we do get a Kaisa here. So we'll go ahead and level and put in the Kaisa. That'll make big shot trait. And then we need to get the Gnar off the board as well because I won't see headliners. Ironically, there is a Kaisa headliner in the shop right now. But no, I don't need Kaisa headliners. What I really need to get is... It has to be a Miss Fortune headliner. It really can't be anything else because I guess I could technically have like an Echo or a Nico headliner, but for all intents and purposes, I really do need it to be Miss Fortune because she's the main carry. It'll be interesting. I also have to realize whether I get a Jazz Miss Fortune or a Big Shot Miss Fortune because you do play the board a little different. By the way, there's KDA Nico, but that's not the unit I need. All right, so we got Echo. Now we need to find Nico, not as a headliner, but as an actual Nico. And I doubt I'm going to hit Kennen 3-star, so I'm just not even going to make the attempt there. All right, Bard 2-star will help a little. Okay, no, not Emo Kennen. There's an MF, so we'll pick that up. I will roll a bit lower. There's a Nico, so we can get her on the board. Take out that, and there we go. Now we finally have our trait matrix in. And okay, I did hit 2-star MF, so that's pretty big. I still do not have a headliner, by the way, but this is the trait matrix you end up with. And if you notice, there's exactly 7 traits in. Superfan, KDA, Jazz, Big Shot, Guardian, Sentinel, and True Damage. It is the tier 1 version of every trait. So if you can somehow get Bronze for Life is a really good thing to pick with this as well. But again, these particular 7 units pairing together, it's like this was perfectly designed for the Jazz augment I have because you get 7 traits in, and with those 7 traits, you're able to activate all 3 tiers of that initial gold augment. More on that in a second. So I'm looking at what's here. I was like, I don't need Piercing Lotus. I already have Infinity Edge. I mean, it's not bad, but I think I want the trifecta. Gain random 3-cost champs. 3 random 3-cost champs gain 200 health and 20% attack speed. Well, I'm going to play exactly 3 3-cost champs. Again, it's the Echo, the Nico, and the Miss Fortune. So all 3 of those units, which are the 3 most important units on my board, are each going to get a what's it called? They're all going. And by the way, I get a Big Shot Miss Fortune, and I passed up an Ezreal. If I should have grabbed that Ezreal, that was not the best decision there. I really should have grabbed that Ezreal. Because I could have ended up with a Big Shot champ. You just don't know. And then I have a tough choice here because I would not mind making the Flicker Blade. The Flicker Blade is the replacement Rage Blade. And it would be a really good item on Miss Fortune. But I've already made a Rage Blade. So I was kind of like, but do I want this? I probably should have just taken the Flicker Blade anyway, because it's a really good item. But I was like, no, you know what I need? I think I need more frontline. So I take the Unending Despair. I think if I had to do this again, I would take the Rage Blade. And then I would just put the Rage Blade that I've already made on Ezreal later on. Because now Ezreal is going to get played in this comp. Because now on level 8, I'll play Ezreal on my board. And like Ezreal could use Last Whisper Rage Blade. The new Rage Blade is actually a lot better than the old Rage Blade was on Ezreal. Because now it doesn't stack up based on how many auto attacks you make. It stacks up based on time duration in the fight. The old Rage Blade wasn't good on Ezreal because whenever he tossed his ult, he would stop auto attacking, and he would stop stacking up the his Rage Blade every time he stopped to auto attack. Also, we get another a support item to pull, and I was like, you know what I need? I think I need more frontline here, so I'm gonna take the I I'm going to take the unstable treasure chest. Night's Vow would not be terrible. That would give me some healing to Miss Fortune, which I don't think would be bad at all. But I was like, I think what I need is more frontline here. So now at least I'll get some additional items. And they're probably going to be more frontline items by putting that treasure chest on a frontline unit. I also have 1-cost units that need to stay on the board, like the Cannon and the Lilia have to stay on the board, but they're very weak units in the late game, so they're like going to die instantly in every fight anyway. And that makes them great bait to have an unstable treasure chest on them. So again, definitely could have made some different choices here. I explained like the rationale I had as to why I picked up the things I did, but I do think the Flicker Blade probably would have been better on Miss Fortune. Just Flicker Blade, Infinity Edge, and then her Superfan's Death Blade. That would be an insanely strong combination here, especially with her stacking up the Jazz Augment that I had at the start of the game. Remember, every single round she gains 20 health, she gains 2% attack speed, and she gains 2% AD and AP. So again, over the course of 1 round, not that much. But, you know, after 10 rounds, and this does apply to minion rounds, by the way. It doesn't apply only to PvP combat. It also applies to minion rounds, too. After, you know, 10 of those rounds, we've got 200 health, 20% attack speed, 20 AD, and 20 AP. Like, that's pretty significant. So I will pick up the Ezreal here. As I said, I wish I'd grabbed that other Ezreal earlier because then I'd have 2 out of 3 Ezes. I also do want to shift some of these items around. Unending Despair is an item that only functions when shields are broken. What is it? Whenever a shield on the holder is broken, it deals additional magic damage to the target. So there is a user that can have this. Nico creates a shield when she uses her ability. So Nico can hold this item just fine. It is not an item that would go on Echo, though. That's okay, though, because Nico is actually the main tank in this team composition. More so than Echo, because Nico benefits from being a KDA unit in a KDA team composition. Echo does have Sentinel trait, does have True Damage trait. He is also a perfectly good tank. But he's not quite as good of a tank because he doesn't get the KDA stat benefits. Now, obviously, if you hit 3-star Echo and you're still on 2-star Nico, then Echo becomes the main tank. But in general, I do think that the Nico is the slightly more important of the 2 units. All right, so we're now on 8 Miss Fortunes, and thankfully the MFs are coming in pretty early. And then I get another Ezreal, and I was just like kicking myself here because now I have 2 out of 3 Ezreals, but I remember I passed by an Ezreal earlier, so I was just like, really? Just like, really? I could have had this earlier. That's pretty disappointing. Anyway, I put the unstable treasure chest over there on the Echo, and that's to activate his bling bonus. But I think I do want to put like real tank items on Echo. Of course, I still have to 2-star these units as well. Remember, I've been so slow to hit Echoes and Nikos. I still only have 1-star Echo and 1-star Nico. And that's not great because now it's obvious I'm not going to 3-star these units. I have just not found these units over the course of the game. So the odds of me 3-starring them are pretty non-existent at this point in time. And I'm going to have to level to higher levels. I can't just stay here on level 7 indefinitely. I'm going to have to go to level 8 because I need to get to level 8 and play Ezreal for 4 Big Shot. And then I need to ideally get to level 9 then and play Lucian because remember, there's one more Jazz champion and that's Lucian. And it would be really, really strong if I could get Lucian on my board too because he'd up this to 3 Jazz. And I am playing an awful lot of traits. Plus he would get permanently stacking all those stats from my initial gold augment. So we got a lot of work still to do. I finally did manage to 2-star the Nico. Still need to 2-star the Echo. Still need to 2-star the Kaisa. So what the heck there? And then we're 1 MF off. And at least we do have 2 out of 3 Ezreal. So I'm hoping that I can get 1 more Ezreal for Ez 2-star. So basically right now I'm just building items that are going to go on Ezreal because he's going to turn into the secondary carry in this team competition. Unfortunately, I don't quite get what I want here. I kind of wanted like a tier so I could get like a Shojin or 2 tiers for a blue buff. There is 1 tier, but the problem is I don't have anything I can combine it with that's going to be useful. So I was like, all right, out of the items I have here, we'll go ahead and do the Striker's Flail. And then out of these other items, I probably should take the sword here, which is what I think is what I end up doing. Yeah, and then, there we go. There's the MF 3-star. Okay, so now we're going to level to level 8, and we'll put in the Ezreal, and there we go. So now we have the 4 Big Shot in. So I do need to switch these items around, but I do have the revamped Guard Breaker. That's actually going to synergize pretty well with the Last Whisper, because it gives you additional damage amplification based on how often you crit. So it's really good to combine with other items that increase your crit chance. which is one of the things that Last Whisper does, because it also builds out of a glove. And these will be reasonably good as items. I'd love to find like a blue buff or a Shojin for his last item, but I have the components to make, I think, a Gunblade, and I believe that's what I made for his last item here. So let's shift these items around here. So Last Whisper on Ez. I could also do, by the way, I could also do a Bloodthirster. I think the Gunblade's a little better for a backline champ like Ezreal. And I'd also rather have the Cloak just sitting around on like Kennen than on... and we're also going to shift the Unstable Treasure Chest over to the Lilia, because her job in the fight is to die. All right, so Lilia, I want you to die in the fight and then give items to my other units. And yeah, we look pretty solid here. I still do not have 2-star Kai'Sa, but that's all right. If I could get one more Ezreal, I'd be feeling really comfortable here. Problem is, a number of other people are playing Ezreal on their boards. And yeah, the MF 3-star should be able to carry us pretty well at this point. Like she said, she's got all these traits in, except, oh man, the Annie focused her, and oh, Kai'Sa, why? I definitely would have won that with 2-star Ezreal, so that's a bit disappointing. But yeah, now the question is, we can stay here and roll a bit more on level 8, or we can try to go to level 9 and play Lucian. I have no realistic way of winning this lobby unless I can get to level 9 and play Lucian. But I think what I was doing right now is I was going to try to go at least back up to 50 gold, and then I was going to try to... oh, did I put the cloak? Yeah, I put the cloak on Kennen because that activates his bling bonus, and that allows his ability to stun. Makes him way more useful. So having a leftover cloak is like not bad here because it lets him get off that bling bonus extra ability. Anyway, like I said, I have no realistic chance of winning this lobby unless I can get to level 9 and put in Lucian. But for the moment, even though this is, of course, a for fun game mode that, you know, doesn't have rankings or anything like that, I still would, of course, want to try to top 4 this game because that's always your goal. And I usually do not screw. I generally don't screw around in the game mode. I'm like always trying to give it my best effort. I do not have time to play enough games. I'm not someone who gets to play like 20 games a day or what have you. We have young kids at home. I at most get to play like 2 or 3 games in a day, so I better make the ones I actually do get to play count. By the way, this board over here, 8-bit, 4 8-bit, 5 edgelord, that board that's win streaking, that looks like the strongest board in the lobby. I am hoping I'm not going to hit that team anytime soon. Now, there's a Jazz emblem there. I would kill for that Jazz emblem. That would be absolutely amazing for my board. But unfortunately, I am last pick here, so will I get a chance to go grab that thing? Do I get to take it? Oh no! Oh, never mind. I actually ended up taking the Lucian, and I didn't actually have a chance at the Jazz emblem anyway because somebody else grabbed it. But yeah, I probably would have taken the Jazz emblem over that. But this gives me a Lucian, which is pretty valuable too. It's on a Punk emblem, which is useless for me. But remember, I do have a Reforger, so I was like, just reforge this, and oh, Dazzler emblem. Okay, well, you know, that's not really that useful. 2 Dazzler's not really going to do anything on my board, but it does activate another trait for Jazz purposes. So now I have 8 traits in, and if I can now the goal is let's get to level 9 and play Lucian. There's no point in rolling for Ez 2-star here. We need to get to level 9, put in Lucian, because that'll get us an extra tier of Jazz. The one board I'm positioning around is that person, Arika Grimmer, because they have all those, all those edgelords. And yeah, I'm just trying to stay away from them. I don't think I can beat their board right now. I think I definitely need to get Ezreal 2-star and then try to get to level 9 and play Lucian. And if I can hit Lucian, then I might be able to beat that board. But I would probably need Ez 2-star and maybe Lucian 2-star as well, because that board is looking strong, even though I haven't seen them yet. So yeah, we're just econing back up to level... econing back up to 50 gold, and then we're going to level 9. By the way, I still do not have Kai'Sa 2-star, so not exactly hitting here. And I have 4 Echoes and 4 Nikos, but it does not look like I'm even remotely close to hitting. How many copies do I need? 9 of them for the 3 stars. That does not seem like it's going to happen, unfortunately. So we have been reasonably strong. I think I've won like 8 of the... I think I've won all but 1 round since I hit the 3-star Miss Fortune. Yeah, that Annie board beat me. And here we go. This is the board that's win streaking in the lobby. This is the one I'm most scared about. It is a 4 8-bit, 5 edgelord team composition. So it's basically the Riven is really strong because she's stacked up on 8-bit and she has 5 edgelord. So it's like, can we beat this board? As maybe if you'd hit the Riven. But no, it looks like we come up a little bit short. Oh, it's close. Yeah. Ez 2-star would have won that fight. Also, if I didn't miss that Fortune in the corner, maybe. But that was a ghost round, and you know, as we all know, ghost rounds have bugged boards, so I probably wouldn't have done that well if it had been a real fight. But anyway, they're still on a win streak. They're still winning, and the lobby's starting to get a little bit small here. Another player also just hit Echo 3-star, so yeah, that might be one of the reasons why I'm not seeing a lot of Echoes in this game, because somebody has 9 of them out of the pool. Even though there's 30 copies, if one person has 9 of them out, it's going to make it hard to hit another 9 copies. So I don't think I'm going to hit 3-star Echo or Nico in this game. But yeah, we're going to see what we get here. I don't need a Kali or a Vex. We're just going to get to level 9. And I believe I have enough income to get there right now. And yeah, there's not that much of this game left. I want to get the Lucian on the board. Because remember, the more rounds he's here, the more he's going to stack up. I also, okay, and I also get more items here. So I was like, all right. Yeah, out of these items, I think the Shojin's the best. And all right, we finally get Kaisa 2-star. But we do not have the 2-star... we don't have the 2-star Ezreal yet, which is unfortunate. Again, I passed up that Ezreal earlier. So I'll put these items on Ez, and then I guess the Gunblade can go on Lucian. Again, Shojin's a good Ezreal item, so I'm pretty happy with Ezreal's items here. But I do need to get some items for Lucian as well. So anyway, at the very least, Lucian will start stacking up some additional Jazz value off of that initial gold augment. So like Miss Fortune and Bard, he will get an additional 20 health, 2% attack speed, and 2% AD and AP per round. Anyway, this is the person who took the Jazz emblem, and it's kind of close, but we're able to win and get them out of the lobby. They were, I think, playing a Heartsteel board that just cashed out and then got like a bunch of stuff from it. All right, so we're rolling down here, and all right, can I like see another Ezreal? I'm still stuck on just this. What is it? I'm still stuck on the 2 out of 3 Ezreals. Again, the fact I passed up that Ezreal earlier, just really, really sad. Now we're looking at a 5 EDM board. This board is all about what does the Jax do. It's so unpredictable as far as what EDM Jax is going to do. He might like jump on the carries and instantly kill all of them, or he might just like jump on the tanks and do absolutely nothing. I'm just trying to position as far away from the Jax as I can. So I have my key units in the corners, although MF probably should have been all the way in the corner here. That would have been a better positioning. It looks like they've given the EDM selector to the Zac, and their units are just bouncing around everywhere, so that's pretty annoying. But Jax ended up jumping on top of MF, and this fight was pretty close. If he had chosen not to focus MF there, I think MF was just about to kill him. So I'm going to lose this fight, and yeah, couldn't quite kill that, and I'm unfortunately losing some health here. I really need to find another Ezreal, and I need to find another Lucian here. Maybe I can get one off the carousel that's upcoming, so I'm rolling down here. And all right, once again, an empty round, so that's not great. And now I have to deal with that Edgelord board again, so I was like, I'm pretty sure I can't beat this board with what I've got right now. I will give it my best shot. It looks like they have Riven on the right side, so that means that I need the MF to be on the left-hand side just to be as far away as possible from that monster. I need time for like my Rage Blade to stack up in the fight, but now they shifted the Riven to the other side, so we will go over here. And I'll try to just put the Ez as far away on the opposite side. I'm losing the KDA benefit, but like Miss Fortune is not a KDA unit. She doesn't really get that big of a benefit from having KDA trade in play. It's much more valuable for her to be in the corner where she maybe has some safety from these units. Maybe. Well, can we win this fight? I mean, it's closer than you might think, but no, not quite. We got a lot of those units low. The Riven had her Bloodthirster shield triggered. Look, all those units were low, but I go down to 3 HP, so I cannot take another loss, and now it's down to just me and that other player in the lobby. There's no Lucian, there's no Ezreal here on the carousel, so I was like, okay. Alrighty, what is the best thing I can do here? Let's take the Infinity Edge off this carousel. Frontline is not going to do anything for me. This will allow Lucian's damage to crit, and in addition to that, it's on a Ziggs who sells for 5 gold. That's an extra roll. So can we pray to find Lucian or Ez? Can we find either one? And oh, they're both there. Okay. So unfortunately they're both there, so I have to, the only way I can get either one of them is to sell one of them. So I will go ahead and sell the Ezreal because Lucian's actually a more important unit, and I'm going to transfer some items around here. What I really should have done was I should have had Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, and the Guard Breaker on Lucian. I actually make another mistake. I actually forget to put Ezreal's items back on Ez because I was so focused on positioning in this fight. Like I could do it right now, but I actually just forgot. Still, the good news is my positioning is good. All of my key units are over on the right-hand side. They are as far away from Riven and Viego and the Yone as possible. So come on, Lucian. Come on. Can we kill this? It's down to just the Miss Fortune. Miss Fortune. Miss Fortune. Oh, my God. She had 3 health. 3 health. Oh, my God. So I looked at this after I went back and looked at the video recording after this was over. She had 3 out of 3,200 health. That is 0.1% of her health. And that's only because she stacked up health the entire game. Now I need to do it again. I need to win again against this board. So I was like, all right. I think I can actually position better. I want Nico over there next to these units. I want Lilia right next to them, so that she will die and get the unstable treasure chest items to move. I was terrified that this person was going to move their Riven to the right-hand side at the last second. They don't. They keep the same positioning. So Lilia dies instantly. I get additional items. Nico with her Bramble Vest, which is the perfect item to counter them, is soaking up that damage. And MF is safe. Lucian is safe. Can we win this one too? And yes, we can. So the Jazzy miracle indeed. Managed to pull this one out of my butt and win this lobby on 3 HP. I should not have won this. That other team I do think was stronger, but they did not position their team effectively. And the fact that I had stacked up all that extra health ended up mattering. If Miss Fortune had stacked one less round of health, she would have died in that last fight. But to survive with 3 HP, 0.1% of her max HP after stacking up health for 20 rounds was just absolutely insane. What a great finish to this game. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you didn't mind my scratchy voice. Until next time, hope you're having a great week. Take care, and I'll see you soon.